Okay, so I just got off the phone with a client for a hybrid event that we're doing next week, and I figured it was a good time to tell you why I'm actually going to end up bringing this rack instead of the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. I love this thing, it's great, but it definitely has its limitations where this guy does not have nearly as many. If I just need to stream to YouTube or something and I have no monitors or anything like that the client's going to see, confidence monitors, program feeds like around the room, then this guy can stream directly to YouTube with an Ethernet cable, assuming I actually have a wired internet connection, which honestly in most cases I do. But if I need to do anything else besides stream to Vimeo, YouTube, Facebook, whatever Blackmagic allows on this guy, or I can type in the XML file, then I can't use this. You can stream to YouTube, you can record an ISO, or record all 4 ISOs, and use your HDMI output as a multi-view, all at the same time with the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. Let's not get that confused. You can do that, but that's not always what I want to do. Sometimes I want to go to YouTube, I need to go back to Zoom because I have virtual participants, I want to go to Vimeo, I want to go to multiple locations. If I use something like Restream, I can get to YouTube, I can get to Vimeo, I can get to Facebook, all with one output. And I can put in a custom, which is what we did here, I labeled it Restream, right? We put a custom RTMP for Restream in here, and then we were able to copy and paste the stream key when we need it, and we hard-coded that into the XML file so that we have it on here at all times. That's really good. Another question that we've gotten from one of our, one of 20 or 40 now, I think, subscribers is, can you stream to Ecamm or go to Ecamm and then multiple sources out of it? I believe Ecamm allows you to stream live to at least one platform, if not multiple platforms. But again, you cannot stream an RTMP feed to Ecamm. You have to take a webcam into Ecamm, and then from Ecamm you can stream out. That still eliminates your ability to record ISOs the second you try to take a webcam feed out of this. Now you say, but Brandon, there's an HDMI output, why wouldn't I just use that? You totally can. But the second you use your HDMI output, and there's only one on here, that means you lose your multi-view. Because I doubt you're going to send a multi-view to Ecamm, unless for some reason you're streaming your multi-view, in which case you could totally do that. So that is, one of the biggest flaws with this guy. That's why I usually end up going with this rack here. This rack's, it looks maybe somewhat complicated. It's currently missing a recorder because I have it out on a rental, but this rack's pretty capable and honestly pretty simple. So the way I have it set up is I have the HD Studio here, which has one upstream key and one downstream key. The upstream key does allow me to do DVEs, so that helps me with my one box looks or picture-in-picture or whatever I want to do there. I have a web presenter here. Biggest problem with this is it only outputs in 720. Nowadays, people probably are standardized on 1080. If you're using Zoom, 720 is fine. If you enable HD on Zoom, then maybe you're getting better than 720 based on your internet connection. But I have a web presenter here. Coolest thing about the web presenter is it has an XLR input for audio, which means I can send with an external audio mixer a different feed to my program, meaning into my ATEM HD Studio here, and then a different audio feed to Zoom or to the web presenter, which is super helpful if I want to have a separate microphone where I can talk to the people on Zoom, but I'm not sending that signal live or that my personal microphone live. So that's super helpful. That's why I use a web presenter and not just any normal capture card. Then I have 3 HyperDecks, only 2 right now, but usually it's 3. I always record program as well as 2 individual, whether that's camera angles, whether that's Zoom ISO records, whatever that may be. And this rack allows me to stream a program feed out, as well as take an aux output, as well as have loop throughs with SDI and or HDMI for ISO records, things like that. This rack's really cool because it allows me to do things like have an aux output for whether that's a TV for a confidence monitor, TVs around the room, an aux output for running to a sub switch and then back and receiving that. I'll talk about that in a sec. But anyway, this allows me to have much more flexibility over this guy. Of course, this thing's way bigger. You would expect that. This guy's still awesome, but I rarely use him or solely on site at an event. I more often than not am using this as my main switcher, and I might be using this as a sub switch. I'm gonna make a whole video about how I run sub switchers and how you can set them up and things like that. It's very cool. Another thing I wanna touch on is that these guys are very similar in capabilities, but not necessarily at the same time. And I mean that by this. This guy, the ATEM Mini Pro ISO, can record 4 individual signals as well as your program feed. It can record all that onto an SSD or a flash drive. It can stream to YouTube or Facebook or any kind of RTMP destination. It can provide a webcam to your computer. It can provide a multi-view as well as a clean program feed out. It has audio inputs for up to 2 mics as well as individual audio for any of your input sources. You can do DVEs, which basically will give you a picture-in-picture. So it's super, super capable, as well as you can control it with the exact same software to control all of the ATEM switchers. The problem is it can do all of those things, but it can't do all of them at the same time. That's where this rack comes into play. You can't record your 4 ISOs and your program feed and go send a webcam signal to Zoom, because you're using the one USB-C port on the back of this guy, and you have to choose whether you want to do record or whether you want to do webcam. You can't do both at the same time. Here I can. I can record on HyperDex, and I can send a signal to Zoom via the web presenter, as well as send a signal anywhere else for my program feed. So I can do all of that with this guy, but I can't necessarily do all of it at the same time with this. And that is why I use this rack more often on site than I use the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. Let's talk about the downsides to this rack, okay? This ATEM Mini Pro ISO is $900 at the moment, okay? At the time of recording this video, this is $900. This rack here is a lot more than $900. This switcher alone, I think, sells new for $1,000. The web presenter is another couple hundred, probably like 3 to 5. These HyperDecks are like 5 to 600, maybe more, and there's 3 of them in here. Obviously, you got a power strip, you have the case, and you have all the SDI cables. That's another huge thing. Most laptops, a lot of consumer cameras are dealing with HDMI, not SDI. HDMI is on the back of this switcher. It's 4 HDMIs and pretty much all SDIs on the back of this, including your program output and your aux output. That means you're paying for decimators and or converters from SDI to HDMI or vice versa. So there is so much added cost to be able to do all of this at the same time. For most people, it's probably not worth it, and or, if you're an at-home streamer or something like that, you don't need this. If you're a professional going out and doing production jobs and want to have the flexibility to like run multiple outputs or things like that, or just have the flexibility to do whatever you need at whatever time, this is going to be more your route. This is way simpler to use, way less time to set up. This is way more capable and complicated and will handle more of my shows. So honestly, I end up using these together more often. Use this to build a simple look, route it into this guy, and then this guy takes care of the rest. So that's kind of my breakdown on the ATEM Mini Pro ISO and my HD Studio rack here with its individual records and web presenter. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful information for you. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, chat, message, and yeah, if you like what we do here, we're definitely going to push out more videos. So hit subscribe, and we'll bump up from, I think we're at like 40 subscribers right now. So definitely 36. Trying to 36 subscribers. So we want to get to 40 and then up from there. So thanks so much, and yeah, have a great rest of your day. Hey, check this out. Yeah. If you have an ATEM switcher with super sourcing, stay tuned because we got some pretty cool stuff coming at you.